Welcome to this presentation of the Western Ohio Railway. To commemorate America's 250th anniversary, the Union Pacific collaborated with railroads across the country on a coast-to-coast steam excursion featuring the recently restored Big Boy 4014. Saturday, June 6th marked my one opportunity to see the largest operating steam locomotive in the world, as she ran from Fort Wayne, Indiana to Bellevue, Ohio, across the former nickel plate main line now operated by the Norfolk Southern. The day started out a little ominous, with heavy rains and lightning accenting the morning sunrise. This was the first time I'd ever been to Fort Wayne. I parked near the Diamonds on the east end of the yard. I knew about this location because I'd recently watched a video produced by Jawtooth. Jawtooth had been up here years ago, catching some of the last road railer service on the Norfolk Southern. If you're not familiar with Jawtooth, check out his YouTube channel and the hundreds of great railroad videos he's posted. This location at the east end of Fort Wayne is an awesome spot. Plenty of parking and loads of action. I had about an hour and a half to kill before the scheduled departure of 4014 at 9 a.m. and the Norfolk Southern was kind enough to fill the void with 4 freights. I only found one significant flaw with this location as a rail fanning spot. It isn't rainproof. When I cut to the shot of 4014 leaving the yard, you will notice how much darker the skies were when 4014 finally got underway about 9:30. The 45 minutes prior saw hundreds of rail fans standing in the pouring rain under a wide variety of umbrellas, surrounded by thunder and lightning. Being a golfer and knowing the policy for clearing the course if there is lightning anywhere in the area, I know we were way inside the danger zone. But in my defense, nobody triggered a signal to tell us to find shelter. From where I was standing near the Diamonds, you could see 4014 in the distance. Sometime around 9:20, we heard a whistle and saw the headlight come on. This was our cue that she was about to move. I passed much of the 2 hours waiting for 4014 talking to Trepster 4501. That is his right arm and clear umbrella at the left edge of my shot. Check out his channel for more railroad videos.
Hold it? Yeah, I'm good. Got a little foggy really fast. Well, that was worth it, Glenn. See nobody in there, do you?
No, I don't either. I wonder if
those are exhibition cars. I know when they did this for the American Freedom Trains in 1976,
Yeah,
bicentennial.
At this
yeah.
point,
It was a
I wasn't
transmission
aware of what I
Oh,
was
no
in for
kidding.
this afternoon.
that stops.
I was a teenager in the 80s and grew up thinking summertime steam excursions were as reliable as baseball and fireworks in the summer. Obviously, by the end of the 90s, steam excursions had more or less gone the way of the dodo bird, especially on Class 1 main lines. So it had been several decades since I last chased a steam train in any sort of a crowd. I knew there was a large crowd at Fort Wayne, but there was no way of knowing who were chasers and who were just watching it pass by. So for this next shot, it felt like a pretty normal chase from what I remembered. I found a spot along the side of the road and captured 4014 rolling past the SDI Lafarga plant along Dawkins Road. At this location, we were only about 3 miles east of the Fort Wayne yard. I quickly found out that this was not like any chase I had been part of before. Several minutes after the train cleared this location, I was able to pull back into traffic. It was a little bit before 10. I never got back in front of the train to get another shot before she stopped at Continental, Ohio at 11:45. The number of cars following this train was unreal. It was certainly in the hundreds, and if someone told me it was over 1,000, I'd have no trouble believing them. Every crossing had dozens to hundreds of people watching, taking pictures, and shooting video. While it made for a little bit of a frustrating chase for an individual rail fan, it's good to see so many people interested in railroads, interested in history, and celebrating our country. Discouraged at how little I had seen in the morning, I went to a spot I found on Google Maps. I needed a little pick-me-up, some encouragement to keep going, and this location delivered. This location is called Miller City Park. There are two small lakes in this park that sit right along the main line. I was hoping for a shot across the water, but I fully understood that I'd have people in the foreground. When I arrived, I set up on the far side of the lake, and to my surprise, everybody set up closer to the tracks was to the east and out of my shot, and it stayed that way. This next shot is by far and away my favorite from the whole day. Thinking I had figured this chase out, I picked another spot well ahead of the train and drove to it. This time it was in Leipzig, and I made my way to the diamonds where the Norfolk Southern east-west line that the 4014 was on crosses the CSX north-south line between Cincinnati and Toledo. next destination was Fostoria. I had decided in advance I wasn't going anywhere near the Iron Triangle. I figured I'd never get out of there if I did. I knew there were some grain elevators on the west end of town. It was a location I had taken shots on a rail fanning trip many years ago. Upon arrival, I set up so that the large metal grain elevator would be in the background. I was immediately approached by an employee who advised me that this was private property, but she was very kind and allowed me to stay as long as I was willing to share my photos, which I will do once this video is published. So a thank you to Shelley at Mental for understanding the event that was taking place and that there was no ill intent of my being there. I was now out of locations that I specifically wanted to try and get a shot at. So I just ran ahead and looked for a spot to get another shot. The spot came at Maple Grove, Ohio. I pulled onto Chapman Road near the Maple Grove Stone Company, and I decided I would get a profile of the crossing here. I didn't realize that the little building I was setting up next to was a hissing mess of a pump or vent house. But there wasn't enough time to move, so I just let that be part of the experience. I was still a few miles west of Bellevue, and I thought I could get there in time to see the train. Wrong. I got caught up in traffic, and as I pulled into a parking spot along the tracks, everyone was walking back to their cars. The exact thing you don't want to see. My chase was officially over. 4014 was now in Bellevue Yard and would soon be tucked away and out of sight from the public. I have never seen so many people on a chase. I've heard some of the chases out west are worse. I want no part of them. I am glad that I got to see 4014. She is a beautiful engine, and I have to give a ton of credit to the crew that is caring for the train. This train was immaculately clean, and the engine was clean. If you get a chance to see 4014, I encourage you to take advantage. You won't see another engine like her. I hope you enjoyed this presentation of the Western Ohio Railway. Thank you.